Hi, this is Nicki, the creator of Nicki's Homemade Crafts. Today I would like to teach you how to do this Turkish Star Stitch. Now, to explain really quick, I had a follower asking me about this, so on my Facebook page actually. So she found this stitch from Diana Yun, if I'm pronouncing this right. It's a Turkish, let me say just crafter, because I'm not quite sure if she just does crochet. Anyways, so the problem is that she doesn't speak English and it's all in Turkish, and I've seen a lot of comments on that one post or that one video that nobody understands how to do this. So I kind of looked a little bit closer, and I cannot figure out what the real name is. She calls it a star stitch, but because in the English language, or in the English American crochet language, however you want to say it, there is already a star stitch, so I decided I'm going to just call it a Turkish star stitch. Just to differentiate between the two. Anyways, it's a really, really pretty stitch. It is actually very easy. It is thick, so I just want to point that out. It is much thicker than just using single crochet. It is single crochet, but because you're going down a row every time, you're kind of laying it on top, it makes it a little thicker. But this is how the inside looks like. Very pretty actually. So even the color changes are only seen by one little line right here. So on the outside looks like this. It's very, very pretty. So anyways, this video is to show you how to actually start the stitch and how to continue going forward. Okay, so let's get started. So you start out, I have just a little tiny sample here. Trust me, it's going to be enough because it's actually very easy to do. So I just have here a continuous row of single crochet. That's all, nothing else, nothing special. Now I'm changing a color here because I want to change it every row, but it's continuous, so there's no slip stitch, so keep that in mind, okay? So it starts out, the very first row of this specific stitch starts out that you do 2 single crochets and then you skip a stitch and then you just continue all the way around. Okay, so that's the very first part you have to do. So let's start with that, okay? So 2 single crochets, skip a stitch, 2 single crochets, skip a stitch, and just keep going all the way around. And then once we get to the end right there, I'll show you how I change my color so it looks neat and pretty. So remember, I'm just dropping the other color. I'm not cutting it off or anything. So it's just dropping it. Okay, so very easy. Okay, so here's now where I'm gonna change my colors because this is the last time that I'm using green, because here's where orange starts again. Okay, so I'm gonna drop my green. I'm gonna pick up my orange again to finish up that stitch. That's how I change the colors. So here's now where you do the actual stitch. This was kind of like the pre-round to start the stitch. So now we did every time these 2 single crochets. So just consider these ones, these 2 V's, as 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you are just gonna ignore the first 3 and then you use the last one. So you kind of push it to the side, or if you want to kind of pick it up, if you want to consider that, and you go into the stitch that we skipped in the previous round. Okay, that's where you're going into, and then you do 2 single crochets right into that stitch. Okay, and then you repeat that all the way around. So it's after the third, so between the third and the fourth of those 4 lines, and then go into that stitch that you skipped in the previous row. Okay, now in the next row, that's not a skipped stitch. I'll show you in a second which stitch you have to pick then. Okay, so I'm just gonna go all the way around. The reason why I picked this small piece is so that you can see the transition periods faster. Okay. Probably didn't use a good yarn here. It's a little scratchy, that yarn. But it's alright. It works for the demonstration purpose. Oh, I just realized I did not go into that stitch. Let's do that again. Okay. So I have here one more of the green. And on that last one of the green, that's where I'm going to switch colors again. So right here, I'm going to switch colors. Okay, so now you're not using a stitch that you really skipped. Okay, so it is a different way to do this. Okay, so now from now on, so what the row I'm doing now is just how you continuously do it for how long you have to. Okay, so it's still the same technique. You counting here, just 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's see. Yeah, you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you go in between the third and the fourth. Okay, and now there is this stitch right underneath. So to show you from this row, it is actually this stitch. Okay, this stitch. It looks like a skipped stitch, if that helps you at all. It's the connection stitch between those two single crochets, two sets of single crochets each time. It's that one in between. It kind of covers it up when you do this, okay? So it's right underneath here. So it's that stitch underneath. So you can watch the stitch right here where my finger is, that one. That's the one that we're covering up, and that's where we're going into later on, okay? Like that. Okay, so you see that we covered that up now. That's the one we're going into later. So watch this one right here. This is the one we're going to cover up in a second, okay? And that's what we're going to go into for the next round. Do you see it's being covered up? But that's what we're going to go into. So if that kind of helps you visualize what we're going into. So it's the stitch right underneath. It's always the same color as that the one you're using, besides the very last stitch. So I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. It's really not hard. It's just single crochets. It's just in a different location where you're putting it into. Okay? So over here now, so that's what I was trying to say earlier, is on the very last one, before you're switching colors, it is actually the same color as these V's. You probably realized over here it was green, the stitch underneath. Here it's orange. It's just the very last one. And that kind of is an indicator, oh, I have to change my color now. Okay? If you want to think about it that way. Okay, now here's where we change colors again. Okay? Like this. And now we're going to do the orange. So remember what I said earlier, we had this covered up, okay? Right here. That was that stitch. So that's what we're going into, that covered up stitch. See? Like that. Okay? So this is how it's going to look like. I'm going to show you really quickly on my other piece that I showed you earlier. Right here. It's the same technique. I just want to show you in different colors. Okay? So it's the same way. You go into that stitch underneath. It's a single crochet, 2 sets of single crochets. Okay? Make sure you're coming from behind. Some people come from the front, but then it's going to twist a little bit. So when you pick up the yarn, come from behind. What you do after doesn't really matter. Like I do it from the front then, doesn't really matter. It's a very, very pretty and easy stitch because it's just single crochets. So yeah, this is how it looks like in the end. I hope this video was helpful on how to do the stitch. Again, I call it the Turkish Star Stitch. Whether that's the actual name, I don't know. I hope it is. If anyone happens to know what the actual stitch is called, I'm happy to change the title of this video or my tutorial on my website or just add it onto it. But for right now, I'm going to call it the Turkish Star Stitch. Anyways, I really like the stitch. I hope you like it too, and I hope this video was helpful. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for future videos. See you next time. Bye!